Welcome back once again to another video on the Yamaha Inviter water pump replacement or repair, whichever is going to happen here. This time I promise not as much wind noise as last time as we pulled the water pump off of the machine, and here it is on the bench getting ready to get disassembled. And I had to do a little bit of rednecking to get it done properly, but well, I don't know if properly is the right word or not. Anyway, let's move out into the shop and get on with this. Hey everybody, it's Rick, it's NJP with you once again, and this time I'm in the shop, and the last video you watched me take this water pump off the Yamaha Inviter, and as you can see, it's not quite right. It's not supposed to do that. Fortunately, we got lucky, and the impeller is in good shape, so that's perfectly fine. Now the problem is, this thing here has a funny little spanner that's needed, and I can't find it. It's practically unobtainium. So I've come up with a couple of ideas. I first thought maybe getting a strap wrench to put around this to hold it while I take that center nut off. Another thought I had was to put a clamp around it. I didn't want to put this in a vise because I don't want to ruin the pulley, because the pulley is actually the one good part of the pump that's still survivable. So, upon brainstorming, I thought, well, why don't I just take a couple of bolts? It's a little simple little quarter 20 carriage bolts. And since the pump housing has ridges on it, why not just drop those down through these holes, like such. And you can see that they wedge themselves up against the little ridge in there. And I'm just going to do it on the opposite side as well. And now it's locked in place. I turn it the opposite way, there. Now we're locked in place, and that is a 12mm nut on there. So what I need to do is I'm just going to use the impact driver here. Plug your ears, it's going to get a little loud, but we'll see if we can turn this thing off of here.
Huh? Oh.
It's not cooperating yet. There it is. All right, now we're making progress on this thing. Now let's see where the real damage is in this pump. Let me put this gun down, and let's take these bolts out of here because they're just kind of getting in the way. And there's your spacers. This is the way you adjust the belt on these, is by taking washers in or out to widen or narrow the opening on the pulley sheaves. So it's a kind of half and half thing. All right, let's set those aside. And now, oh my goodness, that is not looking real good in there at all. All right, well, I'm not holding much hope in finding much good in there, and I guess this explains why it's wobbling around in there, because there's no bearings. No bearings in there at all. All right, the revelation's on. Let's take this thing apart. Well, there's some rusty bits that... That looks like it might have been part of a bearing at one time. I'm not sure, but maybe. This was definitely part of a bearing. You look at that. Yeah, that was where the steel balls used to ride in there. And so, of course, it's all rusty because it's full of coolant and water and stuff. That's a spacer of some sort. I'm going to have to look this all up on the interwebs. And, boy, well, you know what? Before we look at the housing, the shaft isn't in bad shape. Not bad shape at all, really. I think the impeller shaft is okay. Have to maybe polish it up a little bit with a little bit of a wire wheel, maybe an emery board or something. But this is, yeah, this is definitely in good shape. You take a look at that, and like I said, the impeller is in good shape. So we got lucky on that one. All right, well, let's look in the housing here. There's more stuff in there. There's more goodies in there. Okay, that'd be a spacer to space the bearings apart. Oh, there's another, there was a bearing, there were bearings in here at one time. There's the other, another internal part of a bearing. There's no sign of any of the balls from the bearing in there. In fact, there's not much sign of much of anything. Well, uh-oh. There's a chunk of forbidden metal. I'm not sure what that is, but I don't like the looks of that. This is the internal seal, which I've actually ordered a new one of these. I'm sure that's pretty well shot. Let's look in this camera over here. that is, yeah, that's going to have to come out of there. And in fact, it's coming out now. There we go. It's the internal, they call it a mechanical seal, and I don't think it's supposed to come apart quite like that. And there's a metal bit of some kind right there. Not sure what that is or is supposed to be. Get in there with a little pick and maybe pick that out of there. It's very thin metal. I don't want to run the risk of slicing my fingers open. I got to be at the racetrack tonight and do some filming there, and would not be proper to show up with a hand all wrapped up trying to run the cameras. And yeah, that does not want to come out of there. May have to be driven out from the other side. Yeah, that's a mess. There are actually outer bearing parts left in here, but oh boy. I'm going to have to get busy with a wire wheel on this stuff because, yeah, I think this is all part of that. I did order a new pump housing, by the way. I did find that, so if I destroy this thing in the process, and I might end up doing that, I will at least have a replacement for it. So there is a new one on the way. Yeah, let's see if I can take this stuff apart. The problem is it's all so corroded in there from all the coolant, and this didn't happen overnight. This has been going on for some while, and let's just this is all feeling really dried up on the inside, this seal. Let's see how it fits on the impeller shaft. Yeah, that's well, it might be a little bit loose. What do you think? So, well, there it is, and of course the O-ring has to come off of here. That will get replaced. Yeah, it'll definitely have to be replaced because it just came off in more than one piece. That ain't good either. So that's easily replaceable. I can get that at the hardware store. That's quite obtainium. Part I'm worried about is getting this part of that seal out of there. I think this part of the seal actually. And again, like I said, if I can't get this little part, I do have another pump housing. So let me get in here, clean up all this stuff, and see if we can drive the rest of this stuff out of here and maybe reuse this housing. I don't know. What do you guys think? Well, okay, it's been a couple minutes. I had the cameras off and doing some thinking and considering and checking into parts. The actual bearings for this shaft are pretty much unobtainium. You can't get these things. So what I'm going to have to do is get the micrometer out, measure the shaft diameter, measure the internal diameter of either this housing if I get it cleaned up, or I think the better bet is to go with the new housing. So this one, I'm not going to throw it away, but right now I think I'm going to put it on the shelf as a potential spare. I'll have to get that drift pin out of there and put it in the new one when it gets here. But right now I'm in a holding pattern waiting for parts to arrive. I've gone as far as I can with this water pump at the moment. So instead of just leaving parts lay all over the place and run the risk of losing them, I'm just going to put the spacers and things back on the shaft. These internal bearing parts, well, they're rather useless. So let's just get rid of those. We'll throw those through the window. Okay, well, I'm surrounded by glass, so why not? I'm just going to put everything together here in the interest of not losing any more parts than I already have. Because, like I said, for something that's 30 plus years old, finding parts is going to be pretty tricky and many unobtainium. So just throw this all back together. And I'll clean up those spacers on there to make sure that they, not covered with rust and stuff. I'll clean up the seal surface over here where the seal goes onto it, and I think this will once I get everything all put together and get all the parts in, I think this will live to die another day.